Hey, Mr. Stan 913 here. This is the Old Town Trolley Tour in Savannah, Georgia, which takes you through the historical area of Savannah, which you get to see a bunch of squares, which are little parks, and also you can get off the trolley throughout your tour. This is one of the 15 stops where you pick up different passengers, and you can also get back on the trolley with your ticket throughout the day at any of the stops. So I apologize, the video now is going to pick up the audio from the tour. So we picked up some new passengers, and he's telling the whole history of the town, and they're going to point out some stops on the way. 20-some squares in the actual town he's talking about. And here's one right here, right in front of us. Square is almost like a small park, like I showed you in one of the other videos. So a lot of the squares have monuments in them, and when you walk around to all the squares, you can see all the monuments. But to me, it's like a small little park, very well kept, and a lot of nice flowers. First American Baptist Church is where they helped out with the underground slavery, underground railroad to get the slaves out. So a lot of the buildings on this street is Victorian, and this is called High Street, where you can do a lot of shopping, and there's a lot of restaurants.
And this street is named for Thomas Broughton, who was the Lieutenant Governor of South Carolina. Carolina was already here when Overport arrived. Lots of them came across the river to help Overport build his city, because they were anxious to build that buffer between them and the Spanish.
So this is one of the richest women in the cities. This square right here is called Town Fair Square.
In this beautiful mansion here on the right, this is the Town Fair Mansion.
There's her mansion right here on the right.
William J. J was an architect from Britain. All his houses are in this Regency style. Temple facade, call first, make sure they're open. A lot of these places, I think, are going to be closed tomorrow. Some of them might be closed.
So everywhere you drive around here, there's a square. And like I said, there's 21 squares. This one here has a fountain in the middle. And I hope you can see it straight ahead.
By the way, are all part of what's called the Overthorpe Plan. The town plan, which James Overthorpe designed, is still here. So these squares are an interesting blend of private and public use. You will see a lot of plantation houses on the squares. Over on the left is the Harper Fouks, built for the McKelvey family.
These are mid-19th century row homes.
There's grand entryways and all those windows on it too. The ceilings in these old houses 12 or 14 feet high. Check out the front doors. All the front doors in Savannah are painted red. In Savannah, once you paid your mortgage off, you paint the front door red to let your neighbors know you're free and clear. So you tell an awful lot about your neighbors.
Look at the small little dolphin on the
Over on the
downspout.
left, this is James Overthorpe, the founder of the colony, dressed as a British general, and like a lot of military statues of the time, he's facing his enemy. He's facing south towards the Spanish, who were down there in Florida. The enemies of Britain in 1733. Over on the right is the Sixpence Pub, one of my favorite spots in town, an old English pub, complete with an old English telephone box outside the door there.
And we walked a lot of these streets yesterday, so I hope you can watch our video on that, and you can see where we saw the site where they filmed Forrest Gump. Look at this house right here.
So these are low planted gardens, planted with boxwood, variety, dwarf holly, all arranged in those beautiful geometric patterns. This is another large house. This one is 18,000 square feet. And we know how much it cost to build it. The paperwork that exists cost $93,000 to build that house in 1853. Wow. And if you convert that into modern currency, you're looking at about $3 million, just to give you an idea of the enormous wealth that has been generated by the cotton trade here in Savannah in the 19th century.
Monterey Square coming up. Like I said, there's many squares here in this town.
He was an outstanding horseman. When he arrived in America,
And beautiful monuments. Everywhere you turn, there's beautiful greenery in this town.
And also on this square is the famous Mercer House, the red brick building on the right corner ahead of us. It was built for Johnny Mercer's great-grandfather, but the general never lived in the house. He started building it in 1861 when the Civil War erupted. By the time the war was over, the general was up in Virginia. He never returned to Savannah. He never lived in the house. The guy who did live here was Jim Williams. He was the main character in that book, Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil. Have you guys read that book? Or seen the movie? So this is where that famous murder took place, right here, in that lower right-hand room. That was Jim Williams' study. And that's where his young assistant, Danny Hanson, was shot and killed in that room, May the 6th, 1981. Williams said it was self-defense. He said Hanson had fired at him first.
Forsyth
And
Park.
on the right is the Armstrong Mansion, built for George Ferguson Armstrong in 1917. Mr. Armstrong was a wealthy sugar magnate. This is the largest private house in the city. It's 25,000 square feet. And it's still, look at the sprinklers going and there's all this rain. Isn't that crazy? Unbelievable. It's still a private house, owned by a man named Richard Kessler, who started a business here in Savannah in 1970 called the Days Inn Hotel chain. The very first Days Inn Hotel in America was right here in Savannah. Mr. Kessler built that business.
So this is one of the largest parks in the town, and there's a lot of mansions and a hospital on the side of the town that was only for women that he just explained. One of the oldest trees right here. Look at that. Look at the moss hanging off of it.
That's another air plant, no roots.
The beautiful church.
Usually open until 4:30 every day. This is stop number 7.
So there's plenty of stops here, and you can stop and get out, and then you can wait for another trolley, and they pick you up. So there are people going to get on board right now, and then we're going to continue. This is City Market, and this is where we were yesterday. And if you remember, if you can see, the Prohibition Museum, which is we're going to do a tour there. There's the fountain down, way down there is where we actually were there. Yeah, they're talking about having a hurricane party here, but this is the Lucas Theater coming up where we were yesterday. I wish I could have went in there. It's a stop here, but this is the Lucas Theater. And now we're down on River Street. This is where we were last night to take the boat tour down the river.
This is where the cotton trade was headquartered. All the buildings on the bluff here are the offices of the merchants.
And I'm not showing you all of the tour. I want you to enjoy this. But I would tell you right now, this is very good. You see a lot of historical homes, beautiful landscapes. But it's very nice. The cotton was stored in these old warehouses along the river. This is where we were last night for the boat tour. So we left the river area and now we're headed back. And again, there's some more squares that we're going to see here. He's telling some more stories. This tour guide, Captain Phil, is actually really good. Look at this house.
The guy who owned this house on the corner, which in those days was a funeral home, wanted to knock the Davenport down, took all the parking garage for his hearses, an outrageous idea today. And our Colgan Hunter bought the old house, restored it, and turned it into the first house museum in 1960. She also went on to found the historic Savannah Foundation, which is still here. This is their headquarters, the old Abraham Schechtel House, 1818. The foundation is still here, still saving old houses. Over the years, since 1955, that foundation has saved over 400 historic buildings from the wrecking ball in Savannah. So we're awfully glad.
So the Old Town Trolley Tour. I hope you enjoyed this. We did. So if it's your first time watching, welcome. Please don't forget to subscribe. Like the future notifications, hit the bell. Like this video, give it a thumbs up. Mr. Stan 913 in Savannah, Georgia. Old Town Trolley Tours. Thanks for watching. And we'll see you again soon.